Okay, so I'm just looking through your questions, and the first question you had is, how do you know when to move it to the exponent, and how do you know when it's its own log? And you reference number 8. So if you look at number 8, the 10 is inside, like it's its own number, it's not an exponent. So on number 8, you would split it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different logs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the 10, the x, the y, the 7, and the z are all its own term. And that's different than number 7 because it has an x to the 4th power, so the 4 is an exponent. And when it's an exponent, that's when it comes out front, and then you are left with log of x. It's kind of like on number 8, when we had z to the 5th power, we wrote it as 5 log z. So it's whenever the exponent is attached to that term that the number goes out front. If it's just a number itself, like in number 8, the 10 and the 7, those get its own log because they're their own term. So it's not an exponent, it's a number itself. Your next question was, also, would you ever have to combine the coefficient in front with the exponent when moving it? Like you have to multiply them together. So yeah, that's a good question. So like for instance, if you had something that were already, let's say 2 log x to the 4th or something like that, the way you could combine the 2 and the 4 is you would multiply them. So it would be 8 log x, like that. If you were going backwards, then you could also write it as log x to the 8th power if you wanted to leave it as an exponent. But yeah, so if you were combining them, then it would be multiplied. And then you said on number 7, why do you keep the x minus 2 instead of log x and log minus 2? And the reason why is because this is considered one term because there's a minus sign in between. The only time that it gets separated is if everything is multiplied by each other, and in the denominator of number 7, they're not multiplied, they're being subtracted. So if I had, let me just give you another example. I'm going to erase this. If I had log 2 parenthesis x minus 2 over 5 parenthesis x, or just 5x, then I would be separating it into 4 different terms. So the 2 would get its own log, the x minus 2 would get its own log, the 5, and the x. So you're just identifying what gets multiplied by each other, but the x minus 2 is its own term. So I would write this as log 2 plus log x minus 2, and you can even leave it in parentheses if that helps, minus log 5 minus log x. So I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any more questions, and I'd be happy to help.